something I thought our parents did really well is trust. They had a lot of trust in me and Ilan. The rules were really simple in our house. It was, tell me when you're going to be home, tell me where you are. That's it. You didn't break those rules. You could pretty much do whatever you wanted. Granted, we're not females. I know that comes along with a lot of different other concerns that you don't have to.
Coaching companies around these days. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. We'll take that.
Thank you. You know, for people who don't know you, you're an anomaly. You're two brothers who work together, both bearded, clearly. You are both top of your game, but you seem to have so much fun together, and you actually seem to like each other very much. So before we get to boldness, what did your parents do right that you guys could grow up and work together like two best friends, or almost sometimes like puppies? I noticed you guys are rolling around and just having fun. So what did your parents do right for the parents out there?
We are like puppies. Before you answer that question, I could have sworn that he said we're going to talk about baldness.
Yeah,
so
right,
I was like, yeah, I was like, well, I have many tips and secrets for baldness, but I'm like, oh, boldness, got it. On the parents front, I'll tell you what I believe our parents did right. And at the end of the day, by the way, everyone's parents are going to traumatize them in some way.
Yes.
If you really learn about human development, you understand that so much of it is occurring well before you have language, well before your parents could have done anything to you. Anyway, without getting into all that, we can if you want specifics. But bottom line is, what I thought they did really well is, they had two.
By the way,
yeah, amazing. So what I think our parents did really right is we grew up very immigrant. We didn't make a lot of money, so like $400 a week, was pretty standard for us growing up. I don't remember much thinking that we were poor or not. Our parents, definitely quality was there. Something I thought our parents did really well is trust. They had a lot of trust in me and Ilan. The rules were really simple in our house. It was, tell me when you're going to be home, tell me where you are. That's it. You didn't break those rules. You could pretty much do whatever you wanted. Granted, we're not females. I know that comes along with a lot of different other concerns that you don't have to have when you're a male. And
I'll underline. Sorry to interrupt. I'll just underline now because I'm very sensitive to it these days. White male. Because I was just talking to a friend. I was just writing about a friend of mine who's a 7-figure TV writer. We were at a party here in Malibu, and he left. He was getting up to leave at 8:30. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I got to drive home before driving while black is a problem." Because he just does not want to get stopped by someone having a bad day. He drives a beautiful Mercedes. Yeah, exactly. So we'll just throw that in there because that's
really disturbing to hear.
It's kind of where we're at. So, look, they again, trust was a big thing. They always spoke to us like adults. We made family decisions together, even when we were very, very small. Our input really, really mattered.
Nice.
I remember a situation early on where they wanted to move, and they asked us if we did also, and we said no, and we didn't move.
Wow. How old were you?
Before high school for me, for sure.
Yeah, I think I was just about to go into freshman year of high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So there was just a lot of respect in the family both ways. So, like a lot of kids, they're like, mommy, I want attention. My mom would turn to us. She'd say, hey, I'm going to pay attention to you. I'm going to give you the attention. I'm speaking to this person right now. I'll be right with you. And there was just that respect. We didn't have to be told like over and over again. So that was just really present for us. So we grew up like a real family unit, especially being immigrants. And then just to fast forward, I mean, certainly Ilan and I have had issues like any brothers. We fought growing up. Our high school years, while we actually spent time together, we grew apart, I think, more spiritually or like emotionally. We were like really different children, even though we seem so alike. Ilan was really confident and almost cocky. No, definitely cocky.
Almost, I was.
Definitely cocky. And I was like the exact opposite. I was like the wallflower, like didn't believe in himself, head down.
Wow.
Yeah, like really didn't have that leadership ability and just kind of grew up in this shadow. And even in high school, it was like, I was Elon's little brother. I didn't have like my own identity and stuff like that. So for me, Elon had to like soften that and come to more center with the humbleness and like how he responded to things. And I really had to learn to believe in myself.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, cocky brother?
Personal development for us changed everything. So Guy did the landmark forum when he was 19. He kind of went through a really dark time between 12 to 19.
Oh, wow.
You were a sophomore, bro, in college, right, at the time? And I was
exactly.
So senior. When I graduated my senior year, as like a graduation present, my parents also gave me the landmark forum. And I will say that was probably the moment that Guy and I, after a 7-year kind of hiatus, found each other again. And what that gave us was language. Was a way to communicate with each other, our talk family as a whole, to communicate at such a high level, to truly understand each other, to truly listen to each other, to get where the other one was coming from. And and since that day, so that was in 2003, we started down that path. And so for 15, 16 years, Guy and I have just been exploring everything that has to do with spirituality and personal development together.
No holds barred. I mean, no holds barred. That's one of the things I love about you guys.
Yeah.
There are three things that stand out about your business, Satori Prime, which is a coaching business.
Yeah.
One is you guys are fucking bold. Like, you'll do almost anything as long as it's legal. So like me, very interested in mind expanding substances from the earth.
Yep.
So I think we've all been down South America in the jungle and experimented with ayahuasca and some other things. Yep. Pedro, I'm guessing.
No. We have not done San Pedro, although I do have quite a bit of it sitting at home, and I could say that because it's legal.
It is legal. Okay. And then in your case, Iboga, which is to me the dark masculine version of ayahuasca. So we're all very interested in what can we do with our minds? How can we expand our minds? Our culture is a little weird about that. Obviously, it's very afraid of expanded consciousness.
Yes.
So that's number one. You're very bold. Number two, you seem to have a lot of fun. I mean, your marketing is fun. Your communication is fun. When I look at your work online, people seem to be having fun. So what I wanted to talk about is boldness, fun, and speed. Because one of the things you guys advertise is in your work, your coaching work with people, you stress velocity, quick change. So let's talk about courage. Boldness is really courage. And how do you cultivate that in your clients, people you work with?
So one of the things we've obviously been on this path for ourselves for a long, long time. We were actually coaching people for free while in finance about damn near a decade. Wow. So we did a lot of work internally before ever really like going out and having people pay for our coaching abilities. When we had first started, I think both of us had this thing that I think a lot of human beings have. Everyone kind of knows this fear, knew that. And then we thought, okay, we are going to destroy fear. We're going to get rid of fear. That was theory number one, in like teenage, young 20-something exploration. We, over the years, quickly realized that fear is something baked into the human body. It is a perfect, brilliant system. And once we came to that acknowledgement, it was like, okay, well, how do we implement fear in order to actually have it be an ally versus an enemy?
Right.
And so what we started doing is exploring fear as almost a flat life that you get to go to work on to expand your life. And that's when courage kind of stepped in. So it's amazing what people is who lives in a box. Can't see the walls of your box does not mean that you don't live in a box. I've never met a single human being that doesn't live in a box. It's invisible to you, but I promise you there's one thing that you're going to do or try or think about trying. And just when you get to that edge, it's almost like a shock to this system. Like, no, I don't want to do that. So we started to find those things in our lives. And
example,
starting actually had this business. I remember like investing a huge amount of money. We were terrified to do so.
Our fairly big stretch, like we took all the money out of the bank account, which was approximately like $120,000, $130,000. and put it into one event with zero prior event experience.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Because on New Year's, like the question we ask ourselves is like, what are we afraid of?
Yeah.
And we're like, do you want that sitting out there like as a point of anxiety for the rest of your fucking life while you try to think and strategize on how to do it, or just go and face that fear? Now, what we found over the years is it's not like I got to throw myself into the grinder and feel like shit, but it's like, how do you feel when you've accomplished something that you never thought you would do? And I would say you probably feel alive. You feel like you're greater than you ever experienced yourself to be before. And suddenly other things that may have seemed impossible suddenly feel like, maybe that is possible, right? So a lot of times when people ask you, I want freedom, self-expression, I want power in my life, well, I say, well, how do you feel when you've overcome something that you're afraid of? They say, well, I feel powerful, I feel free, I feel self-expressed. Like an indicator of a path to walk down towards experiencing more of who you really are. Because as a child, you don't know what your boundaries are at all. But as adults, parents tell you, don't do this, don't cry here, don't say this, don't do that, right? And you start building all the walls that Ilan's talking about, this box around yourself. I find that most people, you're a being of infinite possibility, but you've been disappointed and let down by your expectations over and over again, right? So eventually you're like, okay, well, I'm this and I'm that. I'm my job and I'm my family, I'm my this and my that. And when you ask people who they are, they're very clearly identified. Like they just know who the fuck they are. But it's like they know who they are with like two possibilities. And they forgot that they closed all these doors of possibility into their lives. So when we talk about velocity, it's like, we don't know what's going to happen. We know we can help you pop some doors back open again where you're going to rediscover who you are. I don't think we're teaching anything. I think we got to get past the point where we're like discovering or learning. And we get to start looking at that we're remembering who we actually are. You weren't born not knowing who you are. You forgot who you are. And personal development, spiritual development, to me, is a way back to center. It's a way back to your wholeness. It's reintegrate, forsaken. You said, well, I can be this, but I can't be that anymore. It's like, no, you are all of it. You're the most amazing human Jesus Christ thing on the planet. And you're also the fucking murderer, and the homeless person and all those people. You have every one of those aspects inside of you. You can be every one of those things. And when we find ways to start raising people without judgments for how humans get to arise, this planet's going to be in really different shape.
That's beautiful. And also beyond masculine, feminine, right? For all these divisions that we are clinging on to. It's interesting. I don't know if you know this. There's an old Jewish myth about, do you know what this is called? This little dent?
Yeah, the angel touches you, right?
Right. So before you're born, the angel touches you, creates what's called a philtrum. And the idea was that you knew everything. You knew God, you knew everything, and then they touch you, you forget, which is really kind of mean, actually. And we spend our lives remembering what we kind of intuited in the first place, Yeah.
Isn't that from Mr. Nobody in the beginning of the movie? That's where the movie starts. He doesn't get touched over here, and he comes to the planet. No,
I don't know the movie. It's great.
Okay,
right?
Great movie.
Great movie. Yeah.
Don't know, but it's interesting because I happened to be watching a documentary last night about bees who create these amazing kind of structures and they know exactly what to do. So there's a lot we know, like you said, we forgot. It's kind of remembering, right? Putting ourselves back together in the way we actually want to, instead of the way we've been told to. In terms of velocity, and because you did talk about velocity, what are the dangers? What are the how do you support people making big changes such that it's quote unquote safe? Not obviously there's no safety.
Yeah, I was going to say safe is a relative term.
It's an illusion. We all know it's an illusion on a deep level. But okay, so how do you support people in velocity of change?
For us, we used to be a lot more aggressive, and I like that you brought the masculine feminine thing to it. We used to attract a lot more men and men only because of the way I think that we approach things. Once we found plant medicine and experienced kind of the feminine side of plant medicine, I think both of us really started to explore a lot more of the feminine because, like I said, you grow up and you're like, this is what it looks like to be a man. And I think a lot of the times, even with spiritually inclined fathers, for example, it's not in ill meaning, right? Like my friend's son was here. He's 7 and he stubbed his toe and had to go to urgent care, and it was fractured, and he was afraid to walk. We were like, just step on your heel, right? And my friend, who I love dearly, goes, you got to man up. And I was just and these are the things that we say because we want, our kids to be tough and resilient and blah, blah, blah. But these are the things that impact us. So I think once we started to understand the feminine side of things, our coaching shifted a lot.
Interesting.
And I personally believe that now we have a way to introduce people to adore such that, whereas before it almost felt like, you know, we brought you on an airplane, we strapped you with a parachute, and we're like, fly, you know, and it produced amazing results. Today, I think we're more in the standpoint of we can bring someone to a door, open it for them, and then have them get really excited why they want to walk through that door. Like, walking through a new door is never going to feel safe. Your mind and everything in your freak out. When there's something greater for you to get, like, you know that on the other side of this, there's this massive, massive potential, even if you're not quite sure what it is, but we can help you create that and paint that picture for you. You generally want to run through that door.
Interesting. So in a sense, you're identifying, I think, if I'm getting you right, the feminine with kind of intrinsic motivation. All studies show that extrinsic motivation, money, rewards, punishment, man up, all that stuff, which, you know, is biologically and culturally inculcated, right?
Yeah.
Additionally, you had to raise warriors or you would die. Yes. Not a lot of cause for spear throwing or, you know, club bonking these days yet. Who knows what's coming? Who knows what's coming?
Exactly.
But there's a notion that's, you know, extrinsic. Like we try to give our children, men, right, boys, extrinsic motivation to toughen up. Where you're identifying like intrinsic as something feminine. How did plant medicine do that for you? What were your insights?
Bro, you want
Yeah. So I just want to like jump into like extrinsic, intrinsic. It's very interesting, right? So like to me, extrinsic is let's game plan, let's get a linear path, let's get the formula together. And a lot of personal development's been like, here are the 5 steps you can do. And then there's a little bit more in the abstract. Now, when for me, like feminine is like has a lot more to do with what we might call the subconscious than the masculine, because it's
sides.
Bro, you want
Yeah. So I just want to like jump into like extrinsic, intrinsic. It's very interesting, right? So like to me, extrinsic is let's game plan, let's get a linear path, let's get the formula together. And a lot of personal development's been like, here are the 5 steps you can do to manifest destiny. And it's like, go fuck yourself. So and then there's like the feminine is a little bit more in the abstract. Now when for me, like feminine is like has a lot more to do with what we might call the subconscious. Than the masculine, because it's an abstract nature to the subconscious. No one can tell me I understand the subconscious. Well, how can you understand it? It's subconscious, right? So that's a lot more in the feel, right? So we have like the mental aspects, which I think are really good to get a handle on, meaning like understand how your brain works, understand the phenomenology of the brain. Like that's happening. Oh shit, I'm making up a story to know that and then it go attack reality that you're inventing all the time. So now with the plant medicine work, look, every one of us carries the masculine and feminine energy. It's not like you're a man. Masculine, you're feminine, like you meant plenty one or the other. Wholeness is like a harm, something that you velocity, but I want clarification to what that means, because we don't mean quick fix. We don't mean that. We just mean like transformation doesn't take a long time, right? Like Satori means a moment of enlightenment, a moment of sudden enlightenment. That's what that means. So like if you're sitting on the toilet and you have a thought like, I'm going to start doing this every day, or I'm going to stop doing this every day, guess what? You've just had an enlightened moment. That is a transformative thought. Now, most people, they're trying to get from A to Z instead of from A to B to C to D to E and do all those things. It's much easier to go inch by inch than it is to go like a football field at a time. Because if you try to think how to get to the end and your plan is, I'm going to plan and develop every single piece of this before I start moving forward, you're never going to start moving forward at all. So the bottom line is now with understanding the feminine, is you get that if you're gonna create a thought, and that thought or goal is going to create stress, overwhelm, and anxiety in the system, these things will automatically push you back into survival patterns. Underneath your consciousness, you'll just start doing the things you've always done. You'll say that thing to that person, you'll have that response, they'll do that thing back to you, and then you'll think that the life or they are doing all that. I'm not aware of that. That's the life. I hope that's clear. So now what we look at is from the feminine, right? If you think about a woman and a man having an argument, the woman's just like, I just want to feel good. I want to go somewhere that makes me feel good. And the husband's like, well, where do you want to go? Right? They want the linear path. The woman's like, I don't know. I just want something that feels good. So you want to marry both those two because one allows you to have insight and intuition into what you want, and the other one creates and develops a plan to get there, right? So one without the other is not great because it doesn't tend to work. But in the feminine, you get what feels good now, and you get to follow that without having to develop a fucking plan on how to get there, and you're willing to take that action just to see what the plan actually is. So it's like, these are like little things. So instead of trying to make a huge shift, like a 90-degree angle, we say it's like, hey, you have this life and it's going in a certain direction. Stop trying to make the 100% shift. Make a 1% shift. Now take that over a life, take that over any kind of time. And these two things are going two complete opposite directions. And that's what we're looking for. It's like, what's this 1 inch that feels good now that doesn't activate the automatic response of your system so that the new programming can actually seep in? So it's like the mind is here to, we can let go of certain things to create space. And then with the energy field and the feelings in the body, we can implant new feelings. The way that you would feel had you achieved that thing already, you start feeling that now. And that activates a new automatic process of how to get there.
So that's fascinating, by the way. This is one of your techniques, is get people to feel the feelings as if they've already accomplished what they set out for. And then what? Once they feel it, then you have them make a plan from that position.
So yeah, this is really, really important. And I love that guy brought this in, right?
Yeah.
Like most people say, I want to lose weight, or I want to make $100,000 this year, or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But where they're at and where they want to get to is a huge gap.
Mm-hmm.
So the thought of I want to get there creates inside of them a feeling of I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or even I'm lying to myself right now, right? That creates an entire polar opposite effect than what you want. So for us, it's this: what would make you feel good right now? Don't look at the whole 100 steps.
Okay.
One thing that would make you feel really good right now. Talking to this person, great. Here's the thing that happens when you let go of the minute detail of how things need to look 100 steps from now, and you just focus on receiving an inspired thought or an intuitive thought or an inspired action, and you just go and fulfill on that one action, the next piece will show itself to you without you having to stress or worry or figure it out, right? Like in the feminine that we're talking about, there's a silence there. There's an allowing. There's a receiving.
I love that word. Yeah.
There isn't this, I'm going to force and make it happen. Now, we haven't said this, so I think this is really important to say.
And bro, I just want you to reiterate that, right? Like the feminine receives, just like in sexual energy, which is creation energy. Feminine receives and the masculine gives. So this is like really important when it comes to energy. If you want to attract something into your life, like manifestation, how can you receive something from the masculine energy? It's not how it works, right? Continue, please.
Yeah, someone said this line to me one time. They go, you need to stop to make money. And I was like, you what? They're like, you need to stop to make money. If you're always running around, how does money know where to find you? Just stop. You have to stop to actually receive money. So it was like one of those really mind-bending thoughts I remember when I first heard it. But I don't.
Let me just add on to that. Especially, I have a baseball analogy.
Yeah, please.
Because I'm thinking of running catches, but does anyone ever watch baseball anymore? But like the highest shots, right? You have to really stand if you want to catch the high shots. You have to position yourself and catch it, right?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah. But the one thing I really do want to say here is this is not a conversation for one is better than the other. Good. There are plenty of people who produce incredible, amazing results just in the masculine, just in the doing, figuring shit out,
making it crazy
happen. There are plenty of them, and they produce awesome results. So I'm not saying that one is better than the other.
They're all on my Facebook feed, and they're all making 8 figures apparently.
Hustle and grind.
They're all there, every single one of them.
What's amazing to me though is I used to produce results like that too. Guys said immigrant parents, like our whole world in existence was if you want to be successful, you have to work really hard.
Right.
To make money, you have to work really hard. Like that was the program. That was the belief, that everything, and my reality. Then I come across certain teachers and mentors who are living life in a different way, still producing amazing results, just effortlessly, easily. And it gets you to just stop and go, okay, this produces great results for me. I've never even played in that arena. I don't even know what kind of results that can produce for me.
Right.
But I can tell that I'm going to be a lot happier producing those results. And so that's what we've been up to. It's like, how can everything in life, that's the question, how can everything in life start to be effortlessly easy? Relationships, losing weight, more money in your bank account, all of it. You know, like I was just at we have a boys camping trip, and this guy who's in really good shape comes to me and he goes, this is Brian, by the way, guy. And he's like, dude, you know, I know a lot of people and I've been around a lot of fit people. He's like, you're the fittest dude I've ever met. Like, I've never seen anyone that every single time I see him, you're just more fit. Like, it just, how do you do it? And I was trying to come up with like a way to give him something, but truly like the mindset is what's shifted. It's, I get to have this body with effortless ease. And that program creates certain things in my life, from different workouts to the way I eat, to the way I take care of my body, that I never had before. Because before it was like, how do I beat my body into shape?
Right.
Totally different ball game.
And I want to just add on top of that, right? So, you know, we're at this point now where I can more or less look at a person's body, just like how it's shaped, and I could tell you what they're dealing with. Because when you're holding energy in the body in a specific way, it will tell you certain things about the type of fixations that they have inside of like the developmental patterns. So it's like there's no right or wrong way to do anything. There's just a developmental pattern, and you get certain fixations at different points. And when you get fixated on something, it's like your whole life becomes about that thing, right? So like a woman, for instance, you'll see this where like you know, a rape victim will then go add a lot of weight onto her body. Why? Because it's subconscious programming to pat herself, to protect herself, so she's less attractive, but also to like literally put distance between her and the world. And a lot of people who are dealing with overweight problems, it's all comes down to self-worth. It's like, how did the self-worth issue that you have, which by the way we all do, how did you deal with that? What are the patterns that you developed to protect yourself from that one feeling that you had that one time that you said, I'm never going to feel that again? And then you built an entire life and relationships and a body and everything to try to protect yourself from feeling that fucking thing. And here's the gold. If you're willing to go back and feel that thing, you're free from it. And then the core of who you are, the identity of your programming, no longer has the roots attached to it. And it all starts coming, like unraveling. Now that means that everything that you've told your subconscious, don't show me that. It's like, well, here we go, we're ready. And it starts bubbling to the surface. And the feminine allows you to just be patient and graceful and sit with it as it arises. Notice how even as I go into my feminine energy, how my voice changes and I start slowing down. There's a different type of awareness, and I go back into my masculine and start getting really like intense and into my planning. But it's amazing when you have this awareness, because it's like watching a man and a female dance. If I'm only my masculine, I don't have a point of relativity for my feminine. If I'm only my feminine, I don't have a point of relativity for my feminine. Now I'm like, oh, look, I can send my feminine. Look how my masculine looks today. That sexy motherfucker. And then I can send my masculine and really appreciate my feminine too.
And you don't identify your identity with either of them, which is the key.
So this is not sexuality, right? And it could be part of that too. So it's like,
but your identity. I don't mean sexual identity. I mean just your sense of I. You know, one of the things I got from plant medicine, one of the first lessons I got, there's nothing in there there's no there to defend. We're all verbs who are just unrolling all the time, and we actually get to steer our ships. But that was the first lesson I got. Wow, there's no I inside of me. That thing, because or it never was. And, you know, as we unfold, we actually have free choice. I want to get practical for a second. Ilan, you said that you get the super fit body through easeful, what was it? Through effortless ease. I'm sure everyone is very curious about the effortless ease workout. How exactly does effortless ease lead to a cut body?
Yeah. So one of the things, and again, these are all, everything in life is a perspective, right? We all have theories. We find proof for those theories, and then our reality proves ourselves right, basically, and no matter what. So a lot of the people, right, if you ask someone, six-pack abs, what's the conversation going to be? Wow, that's really hard. Right? Like, I've never said to someone like, hey, you want six-pack abs? And they're like, oh yeah, that's a breeze. Like I could do that. You know, it's hard work. Like it's this thing that they go in with hard work, right?
Marriage. It's hard. It's work. That's the frame. I've been fighting that for years. Yeah. Relationship is hard. Actually, it's play.
Exactly.
It's just skill.
Exactly. So now look, if you're sending messages to your body, you're basically made out of, I think it's like 37 point something trillion cells. Okay. When you send a message that for my body, getting a six-pack is hard, or getting fit, or losing 10 pounds is hard, you're electromagnetically sending signals to
masculine looks today, that sexy motherfucker. And then I can sit my masculine and really appreciate my feminine too.
And you don't identify your identity with either of them, which is the key. Keep
So
your
this
identity.
this is not sexuality, right? And it could be part of that too. So it's
No,
like,
I mean, but your identity. I don't mean sexual identity. I mean just your sense of I. You know, one of the things I got from plant medicine, one of the first lessons I got. There's nothing in there there's no there to defend. We're all verbs who are just unrolling all the time, and we actually get to steer our ships. But that was the first lesson I got. Wow, there's nothing. There's no I inside of me that needs defending because it's not there anymore, or it never was. And, you know, as we unfold, we actually have free choice. I want to get practical for a second. Ilan, you said that you get the super fit body through easeful, what was it? Through effortless ease. I'm sure everyone is very curious about the effortless ease workout. How exactly does effortless ease lead to a cut body?
Yeah, so one of the things, and again, these are all, everything in life is a perspective, right? We all have theories. We find proof for those theories, and then our reality proves ourselves right, basically, and no matter what. So a lot of the people, right, if you ask someone six-pack abs, what's the conversation going to be? Wow, that's really hard. Right? Like, I've never said to someone like, hey, you want six-pack abs? And they're like, oh yeah, that's a breeze. Like I could do that. You know, it's hard work. Like it's this thing that they go in with hard work, right?
Marriage. It's hard. It's work. That's the frame. I've been fighting that for years. Yeah. Relationship is hard. Actually, it's play.
Exactly.
It's just skill.
Exactly. So now, look, if you're sending messages to your body, you're basically made out of, I think it's like 37 point something trillion cells. Okay. When you send a message that for my body, getting a six-pack is hard, or getting fit, or losing 10 pounds is hard, you're electromagnetically sending signals to every one of your cells that basically says to them, like, I don't get to have this body.
Okay.
So, and most some books. So I'm like listening to this. I'm going, okay, well, what if I start sending the body other signals? Like I get to have 6-pack abs with effortless ease. My body is a fat burning machine. So like any time that I would catch myself having one of these thoughts, I would actually actively reprogram it. Now, I know in the beginning for some people, this is going to be like, oh, that's a bunch of bullshit. Right. You don't want to feed yourself bullshit.
Right.
You can feed yourself something else that feels true to you. Those things felt true to me. But for example, it's like, I'm getting healthier day by day. I had a knee problem. Like, this is a good story. I had a knee problem. And it would really activate during driving. So at first I was like, after a 2-hour-long trip, my outside of my right knee would really start hurting. Then it would happen after an hour and a half. Then after an hour. Then after 45 minutes. So now at this point, I'm like, I see the thing going down, and I would just get into a car and I'd be like, oh, I wonder how soon my knee pain is going to start this time. Mm-hmm. Right? I read this amazing book by Joe Dispenza. He taught me a few things, and I started to reprogram that it's not pain. It's just a sensation in my body. I'm the one that's saying to my cells, this is pain. So I said, you know what? This is the process that my knee is going through to create a 25-year-old knee. Like I want a knee of a 25-year-old. And so every time I would feel it, I'd be like, wow, thank you, body, for healing my knee. Thank you for recreating and doing all that stuff. And in a week, the pain was gone. Gone. I took that same concept and I started talking to the cells in my body. Mm-hmm. So like, say this weekend, I drank a ton of barbecued meat. Like, I was not taking care of my body, right? Mm-hmm. I go to bed and I say, hey, body, everything that you don't need in here, you remove. You only keep what you need, and you remove everything that does not do this body good. Right? Now, these little conversations of building this relationship, I'm telling you today, and I can send people workouts. Like, I do a 15, 20-minute workout 3, maybe 4 times a week, and I play tennis 3, 4 times a week. That's it. I eat healthy because I choose to eat healthy. You know, I'm not like snacking. I do intermittent fasting, if you know that, people know about that. So like, I do things to take care of myself, right? But I've been doing those for years. And only recently, when I started to switch these conversations, have I been truly seeing how easy it is to maintain this body. And I know, because Guy and I were like been doing this back and forth, and it's wild. It's just absolutely amazing, the effects that it has on you.
And I'd love to just like add on to that, because I went through kind of a similar thing with him. Like, we've gotten in the best shape of our lives in the last 2 years here. And I've been working out since I was 14 years old. So 20 years doing the same thing, kind of getting the same results. Like, I look good, but you know, and then suddenly we start looking at this different things. You notice again, like, you're holding energy in your body a certain way. When you start saying, hey, it's cool. Like, I'm willing to experience this, whatever emotion, whatever sensation, whatever feeling comes up. Even if it comes up, like Ilan said, you create a new context, but most people create a new context, like an attachment or expectation. So here's the thing that I want, but then it doesn't arise. Okay, well, something must be wrong. No, it's arising. The sensation of it is now seeing its way through. If it comes up and you judge it, you shame it, you blame it, you do all those things, nothing's going to shift. You're just going to go back into your old patterns. However, if you're willing to sit with it, you know, energy, we say emotion is energy in motion. Most people don't want to feel their emotions. They've learned to subdue them. They don't have space for it. We are just like, hey, we have space for everything. Even if I have to get off this call right now, I'm like, I got energy moving. All right, fuck it. I'm off this call. I'm going to go do what's in my alignment, which is feel this energy that wants to move through my body. Within a few months of doing that, I was 174 pounds. I went down to 148 pounds effortlessly. Didn't fucking think about it. Got shredded, like 6% body fat, best shape of my life. And it's basically maintained itself more or less. And it's like Ilan said, right? Like, you're tuning in. So it's not like, okay, well, all the fried chicken I want in the world now, because when you eat fried chicken, you eat that stuff, your body's tired and exhausted. And if you're really tuned in, it's like, guess what? The food is making you tired. That shouldn't tell you, like, this is great food for me. And simple little things like that doesn't feel good. So when you start programming your body around what feels good, you automatically start making decisions up here with that in mind. And then everything just shifts. It's like it becomes really easy to make good choices.
Yeah.
It's a huge theme for you guys, is starting with feeling good. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Rather than making that an end goal.
And by the way, this is so simple that everybody knows this. You wake up in the morning, You're like, oh, today's going to be fucking great. Like, you have all these amazing things to happen throughout the day. If you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, whatever that means, you know, like your kids upset you, your wife upsets you, whatever it might be, and you like get fixated on that again, right? I want to use that word, fixated on what's happening. Like, how does that day go? It just spirals down. You're magnetizing those things to yourself. There's an energy frequency in your body, like an electromagnet, and whatever that frequency is, life is going to show up to match that frequency. That's why when I said, when you're goal setting, it's like you're chasing a feeling. Notice when you create that goal, you're not like, look how awesome I am. You're just fucking on to the next thing. Gary V's of the world, right? Hustle and grind.
That's right.
You can make that $1 million, then the next day you want to make $2 fucking million. Okay, why didn't you sit and actually feel what it felt like to make that $1 million?
Yeah.
Notice that you also don't need to make the $1 million to feel that way. You can feel that way right now. Meditation is a form of self-hypnosis. When you meditate, you can say, what would it feel like when I got there? Okay, great. Start generating that feeling in your body actively by choice.
Yeah.
Now tell me what happens in your life.
Yeah, that's great, man. I would add that everything we say is a form of self-hypnosis.
Yes.
How we communicate with everyone is just reinforcing the neural pathways, right? Which is what it does.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important.
And here's the self-hypnosis. Like, this is, I think, one of the biggest ones. It's that I have to do something, right? In order to feel good, I have to go and do this, this, and this. We've just kind of flipped it and realized, look, everyone that I coach, and in my life too, good things happen to them, not to make them feel good. They feel good, and then good things happen to them, right? If someone's in love, you know, like anyone, Adam, you're a great example, right? Like when you fall in that state, life just starts to look and feel very different. Yeah. Conversations you have, opportunities. When you're at peace, when you're fulfilled, when you're pursuing passion, things. And look, this is not to say that only like rainbows and gumdrops show up in your life. Life still happens, right? It's always showing you the next way for you to elevate and expand and grow. Having said that, though, when you're in the state of feeling good, good stuff happens. When you're in a state of stress, anxiety, feeling down, you know, these conversations start spiraling of like, I can't do this and I'm not worthy, blah, blah, blah. Life doesn't show up one day and go, oh, we were just messing with you. Here you go. Turn it all around. No, right. It always happens from the shift in feeling first. So now I'm like, screw the goals, screw the like external things that I want. All I focus on is I want to feel and experience life through love. Now.
I love what you're saying. I hope everyone's really getting the importance of what you're saying. It's funny. I pulled this book. It actually wasn't on my desk. It was under my desk. It's in my hot tub bag. Hang on. So this is my hot tub bag from this morning. All right. I start already feeling good. There's some fiction. And here's, I don't know if you know this one. Seriously, I'm a nut about reading in the hot tub. But the one I want to bring out is this one. I don't know if you guys know this book.
No.
Robert Augustus Masters, To Be a Man, A Guide to True Masculine Power. And what you said really, it's a terrific book, by the way. He said something that really got me, and it's very similar. And it has to do with sex and making love to your partner. He says that most people, you know, most men, he's talking to men, most men look to sex as to feel good, right? I'm going to have sex so I can feel good. And, you know, there are emotional reasons, spiritual reasons, physical reasons. But what he says is that, and I love this, he says that great sex is actually an expression of the overflow of you're already feeling good.
Yes.
When you encounter your partner. And then you're not putting the burden of making you feel good on her.
Yes.
Just wanted to add that. It's a beautiful.
And you could take that to any experience, right? The burden of I'm going to be fulfilled and happy in this relationship when you make me happy. I'm going to be fulfilled from my relationship with my kids when they do good and make me happy. No, like it doesn't work that way. Yeah, you get to love you. And this is the part that for us has been really interesting is as a human, like the mind goes, I like this part of me. I don't like this part of me. I like this part, but I would do it like that person because that feels better. Like, and you do all this stuff
all the time.
Loving yourself, like self-love gets thrown around a lot, right? And some people are like, it's too woo-woo, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, for me, it's the acceptance of everything that is.
Yeah.
Everything. And like, internally, everything about yourself, your impatience, your anger, your frustration, your anxiety, you get to accept that too. And the more you accept that, the more, like I said, it just frees. Like it's you put this bottle cap on, you're like, I don't like this. I don't get any, no one can see this. Da, 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 da. And the second you're like, you know what? I'm just going to experience this. I'm going to let this be there.
Yeah.
It's gone.
And listen for the lesson. By the way, I'm really glad all the woo stuff is coming from the New York brother and not the California brother out in the sunshine. It makes it much easier to believe.
Oh, I can go there. I can go there. No problem. No problem.
No, there's such wisdom here. There's a great book called Whatever Arises, Love That, right? By Matt Kahn, which is a terrific book. But it's the same concept, is first accept. And by the way, very handy for relationships. First accept, just allow what is, and then find a way to love that. And if it's difficult, find the lesson you can learn and love that. And that's a way of living the experience. Much better way of living, much more positive and useful way of living. I think it shows on you guys. I mean, I think you guys exude a certain kind of freedom and happiness and boldness that people find super attractive.
I appreciate that.
So tell us a couple minutes about your business. What do you do? How do you work with people?
So very simple. Like you can probably see, or if you're listening behind Ilan's head, it says Satori Prime, Satori Prime. Our company is all about personal and spiritual development, obviously. We made a really big switch about 2.5 years ago. We were training entrepreneurs only a lot in the marketing space. And we were like really good marketers who were also kind of known in the personal development space. And that's not why we got into the online marketing place in the first place. We really had something to share. We like to think of our company more as an idea than a company, an idea that we would like to spread. And then we're constantly looking at effective ways of doing that. So today, a really great place to go is either to satoriprime.com or to satoriprimecollective.com. There's a helicopter flying overhead, as there are many in San Diego. So 1 second.
Can't hear it.
We can't hear it.
Oh, great. So,
too much ayahuasca and Ebola.
No. I have a good microphone. I just don't know what it's taking.
The black helicopters. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, seriously. And those are great ways to look us up. We have a podcast called Personal Development Without the Fluff, and we discuss this stuff in great detail. Honestly, you can get a ton of free coaching. And we also have just amazing, thought leaders on there as well. So those are probably the easiest ways to get started with us.
That's fantastic. In New York, what do you have to say? What makes you guys stand out? Like, what's different about how you work with people?
So I was just talking to someone this morning, and they were like, I went to this seminar, and I was like, oh, tell me, how was it? I said, you know what? I felt really good. And then nothing changed in my life.
Of course.
And we've been to a lot of seminars. Guy and I have spent, between the two of us, probably close to $1 million on seminars, coaching, experiences, etc. And the thing that I think we do different is we believe in only experiential learning.
Yes.
I don't believe that you can talk about something and heal yourself. I don't believe that you can rationalize your way out of certain things. What we love to do is put someone into the actual experience of their life as lived, and then go and use that to what that's happening. Because otherwise, it's just an ego trip. And
you don't think posting enough Instagram memes will really shift your life of consciousness?
You know what? If we do a hardcore meme test for like 365 days and somehow like triangulate the numbers and figure, no, definitely not.
Great.
So I like what you're saying. If I can underline what you're saying, Ilan, it's a really great, serious point. I just saw the movie 8th Grade. By the way, run to see it. It's brilliant. It's truly brilliant. But
awesome.
And she's all, it shows how much kids live on the internet. And so just the opposite of what you're saying, that just taking fucking action will reveal more than thinking about, thinking about it 100 times, because it'll reveal. There's a great story about Napoleon where someone asked him what his secret to victory was. And he said, what's your strategy? And he goes, here's my strategy. I see a hill. And I'm like, let's go take that hill. And then I get to the top of the hill and I look around and say, okay, what do we do next? Right. So he didn't say it as cute as I did, but that's the idea. It's you take an action and suddenly you can see the landscape in a different way.
Yes.
And that's really the lesson of courage and the lesson of boldness, both for men and women.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would add just get curious. People aren't curious. They want answers. They want answers for the illusion of safety. And it takes all the magic and spontaneity out of life. When you wake up in the morning and you know exactly how your day is going to go, you are removing accidentally the possibility of how that day can unravel. When you learn to live in intuition, it does require courage on your part. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act anyway, to not know necessarily why you feel a way, yet act on that feeling to see what happens just when you do. If you run that experiment for a week or two, it will change your life. Most people feel something, but they need rationality to tell them whether or not to do this. And so there's so many things that you feel. Like you wake up today and you think of your friend Greg, and for some reason he feels sad, or you feel sad when you think of Greg. Pick up the fucking phone and call Greg and find out that he's sad. Learn how empathetic and connected you are to this thing that we call human race, the things we call the universe. There's a part of you, a subtle energy that not discussed meditation and breath work and a lot of other different crafts. And when you start getting into that field of your body, there is magic waiting to happen in your life. And it gets there because it's like animals, how they follow that internal compass. A whale doesn't need a fucking map to get where it's going, and neither do humans. We just have literally opted out of that part of ourselves, and this is the time for us to get back into it.
Guys, that's one of the best closings to any interview I've ever done. That was fucking beautiful. Now I'm thinking about whales with Google Maps. It's very hard to operate with their fins.
big market out there for
big market. All right, Ilan, I'm going to see you in a couple weeks in New York. Guy, I look forward to meeting you down out here in California. Guys, thank you so much. Their site is Satori Prime. Beautiful conversation. You guys doing great work. I love you. And their site is Satori Prime, and their podcast is personal development without the fluff.
Without the fluff.
Beautiful. Thank you, guys. I'll see you.
Love you. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, everybody.